What's cracking, guys? Omar Isaf here, back with another video in beautiful Manhattan with Dr. Brad Schoenfeld here in your city. You first came to my city, now I'm in your city.
Always a pleasure, man.
It was amazing. So we just did a podcast. I'm gonna link that in the description for Mama's Boys, where we talked about a lot of things. We talked actually about jazz. I felt we bonded.
We did.
We're gonna start probably a rock band, you, me, Mike.
It was a bonding process.
It was good. We agreed that Elton John's better than Billy Joel. Not that Billy Joel's any slouch.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you have to choose one.
Yeah.
Elton, Billy, we're going Elton.
We're going with Elton. And so we're going to now talk more fitness on this side. The podcast is more loose and formal, talking about a variety of things, our mutual love for ketogenic diets. But you do a lot of research. For those that don't know, Brad has a PhD. He has, I think, over 150 published research papers.
Correct.
That's an insane amount. 12 books. You are the man when it comes to hypertrophy, when it comes to research. Just taking a look, being one of those people in the industry that provides really good information.
Thank you.
And you were saying you are someone that I look up to because, like we talked about off camera, there's so many people that kind of just sell out or misconstrue things when they know better, being just intellectually dishonest. You told me that there's some research, you have a lot of things going on into frequency when it comes to training. So if we talk about hypertrophy and frequency, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So there is, when we talk about frequency, it can deal with the number of times you train per week.
Yeah.
So you could just train chest one day, you do a typical bro split, chest one day, back the next, legs, arms.
Yeah.
Or you can talk about how many times you train a given muscle group during a given week. And really, that has more relevance. So the number of times you train a given muscle group is really more relevant than that. And there's obviously different ways you can structure routines to have either more frequency per muscle group or frequency just of training with less times per muscle group. Now, I want to start off by saying there's always a volume-frequency trade-off. So the amount of volume that you do in a given session would be affected by the frequency. If you're going to do a total body routine, let's say 7 days a week, you're only going to be able to do, let's say, one exercise, maybe two in a given session. Or if you're doing the typical Schwarzenegger routine, you're doing like 5 different exercises for your chest. So that's, again, gives a little bit of a caveat to what I'm going to talk about. But there is this trade-off, and it's been proposed that maybe very high-frequency training is better. Here's the scoop. We did a meta-analysis back several years ago, me and James Krieger, amongst others, and we found that more than one times per week per muscle group was better than one.
Right.
So your typical bro split probably isn't the greatest, despite the fact that bodybuilders have been doing it forever. Assuming you're just doing the 1 day a week. Now, I will say with that too, you have to remember that, like, if you're training your shoulders one day and your chest another, you're working your triceps.
You are training it more than one
times,
time.
And even the clavicular head of your pecs would be involved. So it's not kind of cut and dry as far as this goes.
Yeah, you can't just say, like, well, I train, like, whatever, chest one time a week and then I train shoulders. Like, there is some bleed over between the two.
And even like you do back, the sternal portion of your pecs are going to be involved. So with that said, we found that 2 days was better than one. But there wasn't enough information at the time to know whether 3 was better than 2, 4 was better than 3. Now we have that information. So I currently have, this is a scoop just for you.
Wow, Brad, I appreciate it.
We have 5 studies that are in review now that hopefully over the course of time they will be published. Hopefully before this one
before this video is out. You're like, I'm leaking this,
But we've done now 1 versus 2, 2 versus 4, 3 versus 6, 1 versus 5, and these are all in resistance trained subjects. So that was another
just qualify that, because people think, are these, like, Brad, are these noobs? Like, they don't even lift, bro. Like, why should I listen to this? You know.
So the original meta-analysis we did, there was only, I think, there were 7 studies that had been done. I think I had one of them. One of the ones I did showed that a total body routine 3 days a week was better than splitting it up over the course of the week, like one session, the typical bro split, one session of multiple exercises. And we found that the total body routine had better muscular gains. I think there was only 2 out of the 7 that were in trained subjects, so there was a real dearth of literature on that. All of the studies I'm talking about, minimum 1 year training experience 3 days a week. The average training experience is generally 3 to 4 years.
Yeah,
so
totally applicable.
These aren't powerlifters, these jack bodybuilders or powerlifters, but they're guys that you see in the gym that have been training for a good enough time. And most importantly, they're not newbie gains. That's what you get out of that. And we have now very good evidence that 2 is better than 1 still. but that probably more than 2 does not mean anything.
There's not really a big trade-off.
And maybe 3, I will say with good confidence. So there is some of your listeners, your followers, might know of the Norwegian Frequency Project,
for strength,
which is a mythical Norwegian Frequency Project, which I'll say this too.
Yeah.
Number one, it's never been published.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with that was they said that they wanted to keep it secret because they only wanted the Norwegians to have this
research, this information for their national team.
Now the problem with that is that they presented it at a conference back in 2012, and everyone knows about it. So if they wanted to keep it secret, they did a pretty bad job keeping it secret. And again, it's never been published, so it was presented at a conference. So you really can't scrutinize that data. From what I've seen, there would be issues that I would have based on what I've seen in terms of extrapolating.
Yeah.
With that said, we now have 2 studies that have looked at doing, one of them I carried out. So one of them was just published by another group, my friend Bill Campbell, who's a guy you should have on, a really good scientist. And they looked at 3 versus 6. They showed no differences in strength, or they didn't look at hypertrophy. They looked at lean mass through doing ultrasound, which doesn't really give you as much. We have done all our work using direct measures of like biceps thickness, triceps thickness, quad thickness. And we looked at 3 versus 6, and there was no benefit to doing a total body routine 6 days a week. And not only that, one of the muscle measures that was in the biceps actually showed a benefit to the lower frequency, the 3 days a week. Now, I don't know what to make of that, but I would say with good confidence that you really don't need more than, certainly I would say 2 to 3 days a week to me seems like the sweet spot
for a muscle group to be trained.
Gains.
Yeah, and I think you gave some clear information there where 1 time per week is not optimal, all other things being considered. There are some people, and I do know some individuals that are huge proponents of maybe a high frequency of doing full body, so where you train like the body every single day, but taking a look at the literature, just the time trade-off, like you said, 2 times per week is definitely better than 1. 3 times maybe it's like a gray area where the time benefit, it's negligible at that point.
So again, and we looked at the total body routine 6 days a week.
Yeah.
That has to do with the concept that your muscle protein synthetic response is tapped out in trained subjects after about 24 to 36 hours.
Sure.
So by keeping up the muscle protein synthetic response, you reduce the area under the curve. Sounds nice in theory, it doesn't translate to practice. But with that said, here's the one caveat that I'll say to this. This is in the context of volume-equated routines, where the frequencies, the total volume, depending on the frequency, is the same between the higher frequencies. So yeah, so like in the 6-day-a-week routine, we had them doing 2 sets, whereas the 3, they did 4 sets.
Yeah, so the volume's exact same. Yeah, so
exactly.
If it's 3 times per week in 4 sets, it's 12 total sets for the week. And then if you do 6 times per week and 2 sets per session, it's 12 times. So the volume's the same. Can you maybe extrapolate between the concept, maybe if you do 4 sessions a week, let's say 4 times total training, and let's say you have 20 sets in that session, so that's 80 total sets, and then maybe a higher frequency, slightly higher total volume, but not volume per session. Do you know anything when it comes to that?
You know, now you're getting into somewhat of a gray area. Yeah. So here's what I would say. To me, I think if you want to kind of a take-home from my personal perspective, and this is something I've used in training a lot of high-level bodybuilders, some pros, is that frequency should be used to manipulate volume. So let's say you start off with a 3-day-a-week total body routine, go to a 4-day-a-week upper-lower split. Then you can go to a 6-day-a-week routine where you're doing like maybe a bro split, like your chest back or chest shoulders, push-pull, chest, shoulders, and tris one day, legs the next, then do your back and bis, then take a day off. I'm a
push-pull legs guy, Brad.
Yeah, and then use that 6 days a week to amp up the volume. And you can take your volume, like you can double your volume from the 3 days a week using that type of approach.
Sure.
Volume drives hypertrophy. That's been pretty well documented. So by using frequency to drive hypertrophy, drive volume, you can drive hypertrophy. And if you kept the frequency very high for long periods of time, there's at least with high volumes, there's at least a feasible theory that you'll become overtrained. Yeah. So that's why periodizing that volume over time will allow you to, kind of allow you to super compensate and then not overtrain.
And I think some people maybe it blows their mind when you talk about the concept of periodizing your volume, because we've heard often, there's a lot of strength content on this channel. You got to periodize your training when it comes to trying to get stronger. But then that concept too, maybe for a bodybuilder or someone that's more inclined towards hypertrophy, they're like, wait, so like I shouldn't just keep doing whatever 20 total sets per week for a muscle group. It shouldn't just be constant. I should increase it over time and then decrease it back down, just like anything else.
And training for strength is a different goal outcome, obviously, than training for hypertrophy. There's a relationship between strength and hypertrophy, but when you're looking to optimize one component versus another, you're going to train differently.
And I think, Brad, you wore the one we had an interview in 2014 that really like kind of crystallized it for me, because we talked about a lot of things on camera, off camera. But people do talk, and it's totally true. They'll throw around the phrase power building. Well, say like, yeah, like you get stronger, build muscle, and those two things you can do at the same time. But to optimize strength or to optimize hypertrophy, you wouldn't be doing the exact same thing. They're two different goals.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get stronger, and you will get stronger generally if you're getting bigger, to some extent, depending upon where you're at. But if you're looking to optimize one versus the other, by the way, I'll kind of take this into a similar vein in saying that you can lose body fat while you're gaining muscle. Some people don't think you can, but I've not only seen it over and over, we've documented it in my lab. And it's been documented in other studies as well. The thing is, you're not going to maximize muscle gain if you're in a caloric deficit.
100%.
So you can certainly gain muscle. You can do the cutting while you're bulking. You're just not going to maximize your volume.
You know what I'm going to do, Brad? Final point is when I have Eric Helms. He's going to be helping me as I lean down in the second half of 2018. I'm going to go from not training my calves at all to preparing when I lean down, training my calves, and we're going to prove that you can build muscle in an area that especially hasn't been stimulated at all in a caloric deficit. I'm going to be the guinea pig, bro.
Awesome, man.
I will say this, thank you so much, as always, Brad, for being on. You're one of the guys when it comes to information. You put out phenomenal information. You actually also have a book for those that are interested. The Max Muscle Plan would be the one that you would recommend.
Well, that, or if you're into more of the science and development of muscle hypertrophy is my textbook, which that's kind of the culmination of my life's work, so that's a good one too.
I will link both of those in the description. Make sure also to check out Brad's website. Look great naked. Thank you everyone for watching the video. If you liked the video, make sure to like the damn video, and I'll see all you guys, my rascals, in that next one. Peace.